Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 15th of September. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which obviously has backed off the 93.57 peak of last month, which is slightly disappointing. But at least while we're on the right side of 9200, feeling quite chipper about heading up to 9500 by the end of next month. And I suppose the line in the sand is the floor of the channel there currently around the 9200 level. So while we're above that, still in a bullish trend. Worst case at the moment is we've got to test that 50-day line there at 91.24. On any rug pull, we haven't been properly below that, or we haven't been below that, in fact, since the beginning of May, which maybe not a record, but is quite an achievement. RSI at 60, so still in a good place for further moves to the upside. Next up is the DAX, and here we're holding on to the floor of that rising trend channel from April, the level there around 23,600. Still looking for a break of that 50-day line, slowly falling there, just above 24,000. But the missing ingredient here is that the RSI is still below the neutral 50 level, so there's no rush to get in unless you maybe want to buy on that line, which there's no guarantee of that line holding, or you wait for an end-of-day close of the 50-day line at 24,000. Next up is the Dow, which I presume I looked at over the weekend, but here it's back again. And here, the top of the channel there is 47,600. Looking for that by the end of next month, while we remain above the 50-day line, 44,800. Quite simple there. RSI in a corrugated state above the neutral 50 level, but that is still looking good. Moving on to the cryptos, and a bit of a recovery last week for Bitcoin, still holding above RSI 50 and also holding above the 50-day line there, around the 114 mark. Ideally, we probably want to see a reasonably quick break of recent resistance around 117, 170 to 118, which was basically 1 month resistance at the moment. Top of the channel there from back in February, heading for 131. We're looking for that as a best case scenario by the end of next month if we can hold above the 50-day line and RSI 50. On a rug pull, looking for the floor of the channel there around 111 at the moment. So hopefully the downside limited to that. Next on the list is Ethereum, and here we're hoping for as high as, well, we were hoping for as high as 5,500 by the end of this month. At the moment, it looks as though we might have to wait for the end of next month. A bit of resistance around this 4,500 area. The floor of the channel providing support around 43.80. The 50-day line providing support around 42.60. And probably one would have to rely on the 50-day line and RSI 50 as support for this market ahead of a move to 5,500 by the end of next month. But a bit fiddly on that situation at the moment. Gold is next, and here it's been a case of, we're in a mid-move, looks like a mid-move consolidation. Bull flag either side of 36.50, looking for the top of the channel there, 38.50, maybe as soon as the end of this month, certainly by the end of next month, while we remain on the right side of 3600. Worst case at the moment, we've got to retest the old April resistance at 35.11 before we head higher. Moving on to the stocks, and quite a few, perhaps too many, but Anglo Eastern caught the eye with a little breakout that we've had through a mid-move consolidation, looking very strong indeed. Recent resistance around 12.6, above that looking for up to 16 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of this month. That's the upper parallel of that rising trend channel from back in December. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 12 pence, whatever happens. On to Contango, which I covered just largely because somebody sniped that my analysis was the kiss of death. So far, even though we've had a bit of a rocky start around the 0.8 pence level, we had to retest the lows. Looks as though the share's finally on their way. We've had a couple of bounces for the RSI above neutral 50, so it looks as though, at least on that basis, and support coming in above the 50-day line, we will see a move higher here through the 200-day line around 1.1 pence. Best case by the end of next month up to 1.8 pence, which if that proves to be correct, would be quite a call on the shares. Ideally, we stay now on the right side of the 50-day line there at 0.91. Moving on to Cora, which keeps on delivering the good news. We've got a mid-move consolidation here. The bull flag resting on the old resistance there around 8.8 pence. Above that, we're looking for 12 and 3/4 by the end of this month, especially after the latest gap to the upside. On to Fiinu, and here you can see that we've got a situation where the Shares well, they've sort of backed off the best levels around 20 pence, but it looks as though we've got higher highs here, and at least while we're above the recent support and the 50-day line there of just under 12 pence, looking for a retest of 20 pence, hopefully over the next few weeks, maybe as soon as the end of this month. The other point to note, I suppose, is that we are in a rising trend channel now. If I can draw it correctly, you'll see that the top of the channel there is heading for a new target. In fact, the target that we were looking at previously, so towards the mid 20s. Hopefully, we could get that by the end of next month, while we remain above the floor of the channel there, around the 12 to 40 pence level. Excuse me. Moving along to one of the stars of the show over the course of the summer, which is Hemogenyx, which just shy of my latest 12 pence target, which is obviously well, not that disappointing given that shares are through the roof. But at least while we're above 10 pence, looking for 12 pence as a minimum on these shares. Obviously, if you look back, you can see now that there's nothing really between 12 pence and the spike highs that we had towards 25 pence. So you can almost name your target, which is a dangerous thing to do, but a break of 12. Probably 15, 16 is what I'd be looking for on Hemogenyx, but it's off to the races. On to Great Southern, which I think was covered by the Saint over the weekend. Can't quite remember that far back, but it was a decent call. The share's up 20% so far today. The share's already bounced off the floor of that rising trend channel there from September, so conceivably one could have been saying the shares were a buy from the 2 pence zone, but the RSI is pushed above neutral 50. And as I said, it was a good call. The only thing missing now is to break that line of resistance there from April, around 2 3/4 pence. But the Saint certainly came up with the goods. And when I put my clogs, obviously he can take over. Top of the range here up to 4.6 pence, but perhaps that's a target for the end of next month if we can get a quick clearance of that resistance line there from back in April. Moving along to Ingenta, which had a decent update today. They seem to be very happy about their performance, and I suppose so is the market, gapping through that 200-day line for the first time in a long time. Well, I'd say at least a year, I suppose, so not many years, but rising trend channel there, top of the channel there, rising trend channel base, top of the channel there at a pound, and we're looking for that perhaps as soon as the end of next month, while we remain above recent resistance on the way down, so above 66, looking for the £1 zone, which is a punchy call, but it was a punchy update. Onto a stock which may be punchy, IMC Exploration. Here we've got a rising trend channel base, so we're making the right noises, and we've had an RSI, extended RSI 50 rebound, a sideways shuffle above a rising 50-day line, about rising 50 and 200-day line, so I'm expecting this to pop up towards a penny by the end of next month as a best case scenario target. Otherwise, I suppose 0.7, 0.8, but that would be rather boring. Ideally, we stay above the floor of the channel there, 0.57, and that 50-day line. On to ImmuPharma, which has hit the target we were looking for there at around 18 pence. You can see that the shares have cleared, well, they worked, but they did actually clear the 18 pence target. Next level up is probably more optimistic than one would like to be at this stage, but probably looking towards the 30 pence level by the end of next month if we can stay above 18 pence on a consistent basis. So ideally today, tomorrow, Wednesday, that kind of thing. Upside valid anyway while we're above 15 pence, which was recent broken resistance. So above 15, looking for 30 is a best case scenario target on ImmuPharma. On to Mast, where you can see that last week's ridiculous RNS, I think it was ridiculous, didn't really mean anything apart from putting the rug on the shares, was, yes, the warning regarding unsolicited articles. I don't know what that means at all, but the shares back above the 50-day line there, that was the initial target. That was at 94 pence, is now 97 pence. And so above the 50-day line now, looking for the old support there at £1.32, and really expecting the shares to go all the way back. The only missing ingredient is still the way that the RSI is not back above neutral 50. Presumably, when and if that happens, the shares will they will gather momentum or accelerate to the upside. On to the last few. The first one is Orosur, which I keep on covering, and it keeps on rising. Target here up to 29 pence by the end of this month, especially while we're above recent support around 22 pence. Renalytix, one of the best announcements it's ever had, and you can see that the market appreciated it, probably sigh of relief. We've broken February resistance there at 11.5 pence. Above that, looking for 18 pence in coming days, hopefully by the end of this week, deservedly by the end of this week, given how good that announcement was. It really was a great collaboration agreement announcement, especially in the US. Moving along to a stock which I think I covered last week with trepidation, but it looks as though there was no need for trepidation. We've broken recent resistance at R36365, RC365 at 1.4 pence. Above that, looking at the top of the range and the top of that rising trend channel base at 2.2 pence in coming days. So that could be today, tomorrow, Wednesday, something like that. Finishing off with another stock which has been highlighted here, tinyBuild, and here nearly up to the target line there, up to 11.6 pence. Hopefully we can do that today, tomorrow, and after that we'd be looking for a fresh leg to the upside, which could be as high as 18 pence. Maybe that's a target for the end of next month, while, well, if we can get a decent end of day close through 12 pence this week. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.